Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel for another collection of true horror stories that'll keep you up at night. You know, the kind of stories that make you double-check your locks and sleep with the lights on? Yeah, those ones. Tonight we're diving headfirst into the terrifying unknown with three bone-chilling tales that are as true as they are unsettling. We've got haunted houses, ghostly hitchhikers and creepy dolls, oh my. So, grab your blankets, hold on tight, and whatever you do, don't look away. Because in the world of horror, sometimes the truth is scarier than fiction. Let's get right into it. You know, they say every town has that one house, right? The one with the boarded-up windows and the overgrown lawn that just screams, "Stay away." The kind of place where you just know a creepy old guy named Mr. Withers lives, handing out raisins on Halloween. But this story, my friends, this isn't about bad candy. This is about a house so haunted, so profoundly messed up, that even the mailman left a note saying, "Nope, not delivering here, try Amazon." Our story takes us to the sleepy town of Hollow Creek, creative name, right? Anyway, picture this, quaint houses, white picket fences, the works, and smack dab in the middle of this Norman Rockwell painting was 112 Oakwood Drive. Now, 112 Oakwood Drive wasn't always a haunted house. In fact, it used to be home to the Miller family, John, Mary, and their two kids, Emily and little Timmy. They were your average, everyday family, living their best lives until they weren't. It all started subtly. A door creaking open on its own, whispers in the dead of night, you know, the classics. But then things escalated. Emily started seeing shadows lurking in her room. Timmy refused to sleep alone, claiming monsters were under his bed. And John? Well, John started talking in his sleep, muttering about cold hands and red eyes. One night, Mary woke up to the sound of shattering glass. She rushed downstairs to find John standing in the kitchen, eyes wide, a shattered picture frame at his feet. It was their wedding photo, and it was slashed to pieces. That's when they knew they had a serious problem. They called in everyone, priests, paranormal investigators, even that weird neighbor with the tinfoil hat who swore he could talk to pigeons. But nothing worked. The activity intensified, pushing the Millers to their breaking point. Then came the night that changed everything. Mary woke up to Timmy screaming. She ran to his room, only to find him cowering in the corner, his eyes wide with terror. "Mummy, the man in the shadows, he took Emily." Panic surged through Mary. She searched frantically for Emily, but she was gone, vanished without a trace. The police were called, a search party was organized, but Emily was never found. The Millers, broken and devastated, abandoned 112 Oakwood Drive, leaving behind all their belongings and a chilling story that haunted the town of Hollow Creek forever. Some say Emily's cries can still be heard echoing through the empty halls, a chilling reminder of the darkness that consumed that once ordinary home. Let's be honest, folks, picking up hitchhikers in this day and age, that's like playing Russian roulette with a banjo, risky and probably going to end badly. But hey, some people like to live on the edge, right? This next story is about a guy named David, who learned the hard way that sometimes the scariest things on the road aren't potholes or speeding tickets, but the passengers you pick up along the way. David was driving home late one night, the kind of night where the only company you have is the sound of your own thoughts and the occasional truck driver flashing his high beams. As he drove along the desolate highway, headlights cutting through the darkness, he spotted a lone figure standing by the side of the road. Now, David wasn't usually one to pick up hitchhikers, but something about this figure, a young woman with her thumb out, looking lost and vulnerable, tugged at his conscience. Against his better judgment, he pulled over. The woman slid into the passenger seat, her face hidden in the shadows. "Thank you so much for stopping," she said, her voice a soft whisper. "I've been waiting here for hours." "No problem," David replied, trying to sound casual. "Where are you headed?" "Willow Creek Road," she said, her voice barely audible. David's heart sank. Willow Creek Road was a notorious detour, known for its hairpin turns and, according to local legend, its ghostly apparitions. He'd heard the stories, of course, but he'd always dismissed them as folklore. As they drove, the woman remained silent, her gaze fixed on the road ahead. David tried to make small talk, but she only offered short, cryptic responses. The air in the car grew heavy with an unsettling silence. Suddenly the woman spoke, her voice taking on an urgent tone. "Turn left here," she said, pointing to a narrow, overgrown track that branched off the main road. "I think we need to stay on the main road," David replied, his grip tightening on the steering wheel. "Please," the woman pleaded, her voice filled with desperation. "It's just up this road, a little further." Reluctantly, David gave in and turned onto the dirt track. The trees pressed in on either side, their branches forming an eerie canopy overhead. The car bumped along the uneven road, the headlights illuminating nothing but the dense undergrowth. After what felt like an eternity, the car lurched to a halt. David turned to the woman, about to ask what was going on, but the words died in his throat. The passenger seat was empty. Panic surged through him. He jumped out of the car, his heart pounding in his chest. "Hello?" he called out, his voice echoing through the silent woods. But there was no answer. Only the rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Just when he thought things couldn't get any weirder, he noticed something on the ground. It was a small, leather-bound diary, weathered with age. He picked it up, his hands trembling. On the cover, etched in faded ink, was a name: Sarah. Later that night, after reporting the strange encounter to the police, who met his story with skepticism and amusement, David sat alone in his apartment, the diary open in his hands. As he read through the faded entries, a chill ran down his spine. The diary belonged to a young woman named Sarah, who had died in a tragic car accident on that very road over a century ago. Okay, let's be real for a second. Dolls are creepy, it's just a fact. Those lifeless eyes, that plastic smile, it's enough to give anyone the chills. But this next story, this one takes creepy dolls to a whole new level. This is the story of a doll named Poppy, and the family who learned the hard way that some toys are best left untouched. It all started innocently enough. The Thompson family, Mark, Sarah and their daughter Lily, were at a flea market, browsing through vintage trinkets and forgotten treasures. Lily, being a 6-year-old with a penchant for all things sparkly and pink, was immediately drawn to a doll sitting on a dusty shelf. The doll, named Poppy according to the faded tag attached to its wrist, was a sight to behold. It was a porcelain doll dressed in a frilly pink dress with rosy cheeks, bright blue eyes and long flowing red hair. But there was something about Poppy's eyes, a certain intensity that made Sarah uneasy. Despite Sarah's reservations, Lily wouldn't let it go. "Please, Mummy, please can we keep her? I promise I'll take good care of her," she begged. Mark, ever the softy when it came to his little girl, convinced Sarah to relent. After all, it was just a doll, right? They brought Poppy home, and Lily was over the moon. She doted on that doll, carrying it everywhere with her, talking to it, even tucking it into bed beside her at night. But as the days turned into weeks, strange things started happening around the house. Objects would move on their own, lights would flicker, and whispers seemed to echo through the halls, even when Lily was asleep. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that something sinister had entered their home along with the antique doll. One night, Sarah woke up to the sound of Lily crying. She rushed into her daughter's room to find her sitting up in bed, her eyes wide with terror. "Mummy, Poppy is talking to me," Lily sobbed. "She says she wants to hurt you." Sarah tried to calm Lily, assuring her it was just a bad dream, but deep down, a cold dread settled in her stomach. She couldn't shake the feeling that Lily was telling the truth. The next morning, Sarah decided to get rid of the doll. She put on a brave face for Lily, telling her that Poppy had gone on a trip to visit her doll friends. She then took the doll outside, intending to throw it in the trash. But as she turned to go back inside, she felt a sharp tug on her dress. She looked down, her heart leaping into her throat. There, clutching at her skirt with its tiny porcelain hand, was Poppy. Sarah screamed, dropping the doll and backing away in horror. Poppy lay on the ground, its painted smile seeming to widen into a grotesque grin. That's when Sarah knew with bone-chilling certainty that this was no ordinary doll. They had brought something evil into their home. The Thompsons immediately packed their bags and left the house, leaving Poppy and all their belongings behind. They never returned, and the house remained empty, a silent testament to the terrifying power of the creepy doll named Poppy. So there you have it, folks. 3 true horror stories that prove sometimes the most ordinary objects can harbour the most extraordinary darkness. Remember that creepy doll you had as a kid? Yeah, maybe keep it locked up tight just in case. If you enjoyed these tales of terror, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay spooky!